What's up, guys? This is Corey with the Untitled Gem, back with another video for y'all. So today we are taking a look at our part 3 of the set 7 reveal. Bandai was a little late this morning getting it, but I'm not going to hold it against them because they released an absolute ton of stuff. So we got a better look at the two starter decks, or the starter deck and the expert deck. And now we actually have a card list for red and green, which already is including some SRs, which is really nice. We've also got the full reveals on the leaders. So we'll go ahead and let's go ahead and get into all this. Alright, so first up we're going to go over the starter deck and expert deck reveals. We'll kind of cover these little notes here for the designer notes. And this is the third and final designer notes for Series 7, so we don't have to worry about these like slow reveals. They're going to start pumping it out pretty quick now. Alright, so starting with Series 7, we're releasing two pre-constructed decks to go with the main boosters. One will be the standard starter deck, aimed towards giving beginners something easy to pick up and play. The second will be an expert deck, aimed at more experienced players. The name of these decks might be different, but they're both constructed with a clear strategy in mind, so all players can enjoy playing the game, yada yada. Alright, this time the starter deck is called Saiyan Legacy. We made it to recreate the feel of the Saiyan army that King Vegeta once led. King Vegeta restricts players to only playing Saiyan battle cards in their decks, but in exchange has a powerful search skill, allowing you to add Saiyan cards or King Vegeta's Dynasty to your hand. Once awakened, King Vegeta gives players a choice between bumping his power by 5,000, giving him double strike, or playing a battle card from your hand with an energy cost of 2, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and just get straight into it. So we got our King Vegeta leader, we got our front side, activate main, permanent. You can't include non-Saiyan battle cards in your deck, and then activate main once per turn. Choose one card from your hand choose one card from your life and add it to your hand. Look up the 5 cards from the top of your deck. Choose up to one red or green Saiyan card or King Vegeta's Dynasty among them and then add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. And then awaken. Whenever you have a King Vegeta's Dynasty in your battle area and 3 or more cards in your energy, you may draw one card, choose up to one of your energy, and then switch it to active mode and then flip this card over. So a very interesting awakening effect. This isn't based on life. This is meeting a condition, which are good and bad. You know, we've got a couple leaders like this. You think about Toa that has a condition of having 10 cards in the warp. So interesting awakening effects are always cool. And then on his backside, it's King Vegeta, leader of the Saiyans, which is a really sick artwork. He's a red leader, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that, but he's a 15k activate main once per turn. Choose one. You may choose one red or green Saiyan card in your battle area and place it in your owner's drop area. If you do, draw a card, and this card gets plus 5,000 power and double strike for the duration of the turn. And then choose one battle card in your hand with an energy cost of 2 or less and play it with its skills negated for the duration of the turn and draw one card. Some two really cool effects. Also, for what it's worth, he does not require you to swing with him in order to draw a card, so he has passive draw, which is always like a really, really good ability to have, and both of these are really good effects. The Saiyan restriction isn't really that big. I mean, a majority of the cards that are printed have Saiyan on them, so overall I think this is a very good leader. Very, very good leader. Really interested in that. We'll get into the field card. So it's King Vegeta's Dynasty. It is a dual color field card, so it's one red and one green. It does have energy exhaust. And then auto, whenever you place this card in your battle area, and your leader, whenever this card is placed in your battle area and your leader card is a King Vegeta card, choose up to one Saiyan card with an energy cost of 2 or less in your hand and play it with its skills negated for the duration of the turn. If you played a card, draw 2 cards. So really good. It replaces itself whenever you play it. You play a Saiyan, and then it lets you draw 2 cards, so it replaces itself, which is really good. And then auto, whenever your opponent attacks with a card, you may choose one red card with an energy in your energy area, switch it to rest mode, and place this card in its owner's drop area. If you do, negate the attack. So this is a really, really cool effect. It lets you negate effects off of a field card. So there's not a way to like interact with this with like battering laser. It's also not causing you to like pitch a card from your hand. You're just basically paying 1 to discard this and negate the attack, which is very, 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 very cool. Obviously it's kind of a hefty, not hefty, but it's a 2 cost, so it just kind of sits there, but it's always going to sit there until you need it. Think of it like the Janemba effect leader, that's just always that permanent negate lingering there, except this isn't limited to once per game. You could play another one of these later, so you get an option to play 4 of these, which is really, really strong. Alright, and then the expert deck is called Universe 6 Assailants, and it's focused around the bond between Vegeta and Kaba as master and student. We're not going to cover a lot of this because it's in the cards. We don't have access to the leader. We do know it's a Vegeta and Kaba leader. We're just not getting access to that yet. So we'll go over the first, Vegeta and Kaba, Master Pupil Bond. Again, the artwork is super sick. It's a multicolor blue-yellow card, energy cost of 3, barrier, and Aegis for yellow and blue. Energy exhaust, and then auto. When this card activates Aegis, you may choose one card from your hand and place it in your drop area. If you do, choose the one blue or yellow Universe 6 card in your drop area with energy cost of 2 or less, and no keyword skills, and play that card. So it's not too bad. Keyword skills are things like double strike, crit, things like that. So you've got a couple options of cards to play. Auto, I don't think classifies as a keyword skill, so you still get some of those effects. The only downside is that this is requiring quite a bit. You're already having to pitch a blue and yellow card, and then you're having to pitch a card from your hand. So you're having to go -3 to get a card in play, which I guess depending on the card isn't terrible, but I'm not super sure that's a great effect. Next up, we've got Sisterly Bonds Kale. So it's a 2-drop 1 blue, 0 cost 5k combo, 9,000 power, really interesting there. Whenever you play this card from your hand and your leader card is a Universe 6 card, look at up to 10 cards from the top of your deck and choose up the one blue or yellow Kaba or Khalifa card among them, and then with an energy cost of 2 or less, and play it, then shuffle your deck. So this is a Kale, so this works off of the, and it's Universe 6. So I believe this works off of the Khalifa that puts like Universe 6 card into play. I don't remember if that was red specific or not. We'd have to look back at that, but for those of you who are trying to blend all the veggies together, you've got this. This gets a Kaba out, which we've not had access to getting Kabas out, but it only yellow or blue. So it's restrictive there. I think you're probably just going to stick with blue and yellow for this new veggie type package, but really cool stuff. And then Khalifa, Troublemaker of Universe 6. It's a 2-drop 1 yellow, 0 5k combo. Auto, whenever you play this card, you may choose one card in your life and add it to your hand. If you do, choose up to one of your opponent's energy and switch it to rest mode. It's a really cool effect. So it's similar to the Khalifa that we had before, where you play her, you take a life, except this is a 10k, not a 20k. But you're able to switch a card to rest mode, which is really, really cool. So interesting to see in combination with the ones that we got revealed last week. There's a lot of synergy there, obviously. So that's all we got here, and now the big stuff. So they went ahead and revealed the red and the green cards, majority of them, I believe. So we're going to go ahead and get into this, and now we have the front side of the leaders that got revealed over the last couple weeks. So let's go ahead, Son Gohan. So he's a 10k, Son Gohan Adolescence. Activate main once per turn, burst 2. Choose one card in your life and add it to your hand. If your opponent has 5 or more life, deal 1 damage to your opponent. So this was the burn effect that they had mentioned earlier. I'm actually pretty happy with this. This isn't like a busted burn. It's very restrictive. They have to have 5 or more life, and you are bursting. You do get to add a card to your life yourself, which is actually pretty cool. So overall, I think this is a really, really good effect. And then whenever your life is at 4 or less, you may draw 2 cards and flip this card over. So we're going back to that effect with him, but this is actually like super relevant because of his boosting ability that he has on his backside. This basically makes it where you can't just have like really like aggressive triple flash plays, which is really good. I think there was a lot of thought process put into that. We'll go ahead and recover the leader. So it's auto Sparking 5. When this card attacks, draw 1 card. Auto once per turn. When one of your battle cards activates Alliance, choose up one of your bonus battle cards with 30,000 power or less and KO it. And then activate main once per turn, Sparking 5. Choose 3 cards in your hand and place them in your drop area. Choose all of your red and green battle cards. Then both the chosen cards and this card gets plus 10,000 power for the duration of the turn. So this is what we're talking about. You wouldn't want this with a triple flash deck being able to untap 2 energy and go to like a turn 3 triple flash, just that gets where it can't be countered. That would be really, really, really not okay. That's the whole reason they restricted the triple flash the way they did. Like we talked about before, I think this is a really solid leader. Has a lot of cool effects. Obviously, it's going to like a swarm type effect or even just an alliance. Really big alliance triple striker that just kind of goes in and closes out games. I'm actually really okay with this leader. I really enjoy the front side. Having like a burn like in this way, I think is really productive for the game, and it's a great way to kind of introduce his archetype. So all in all, I'm really happy with this card. I'm proud that they didn't make this just like absolutely busted beyond belief, which was kind of the concern when you talk about a leader that has a burn effect. So they do have the pre-release packs in here too, so that's why there's duplicates of all these cards. So we got our Burly leader, so he's critical in the front, 10k, auto whenever this card is placed in your leader area. Choose up to one Dormant Legend from your deck and activate it. So this is similar to some effects that we've seen before, with like the Red Bobbity and the Meta Cooler, where whenever it comes into play, you go get a field card and put it into play. I'm going to awaken whenever your life is at 4 or less. You may draw one card, then choose up one of your energy and switch it to active mode. And then his backside, still kind of mediocre, but active or auto when this card attacks, draw a card. Active battle once per turn, choose one card in your hand and place it in your drop area. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with 10,000 power or less and KO it. So I'll go ahead and preface this. We've not seen the ability to flip leaders like I was kind of speculating last week. I'm a little disappointed in that. You're now pretty sure that it's going to be like a yellow-blue type mechanic that probably does it to your opponent, which we'll kind of see how that plays out. This leader's is not bad on the front. Having critical is always really good. It just doesn't draw, which is a little negative. Usually you want to draw on your front side. I guess because it has critical, they decided it didn't need to draw, which I don't necessarily agree with. And then being able to activate the Dormant Legend is pretty cool. So obviously what they're trying to do with this is that they're trying to use a lot of these Broly effects that you'll see here in a little bit at minus your opponent's battle card's battle power down. And then so you can activate battle once per turn on yours and your opponent's turn and just pop things, which isn't bad. I wish it didn't cost a card, but it's not too bad. Alright, so now we got our first start of the battle cards. This is our first Raddatz card, Raddatz the Oppressor. So it's a 1-drop, 1 red, 4k. Auto whenever you play this card, draw a card, and then auto once per turn whenever your opponent switches energy to active mode using a non-awakened skill during their turn. Choose up to one of your energy, or choose one of your opponent's energy and place it in their own drop area. So this is our Whis and Boreos effect. Red did have access to this before in the Veku promo, but that required you to like fuse him and everything like that, so it wasn't like super great. And it was restrictive on the type of decks you could really play it, but this is just a straight 1-drop 4k, just like all the other ones, so really good addition. Alright, next up we've got Son-Goku, Heavenly Salvation, so it's a 3-drop 1 red. He's a 14k, again, interesting numbers that they're playing with. Auto activate this skill when you play Son Gohan and Son Goten family bonds in your battle area. If Son-Goku Heavenly Salvation isn't in play in your battle area, you may play this card from your hand. Auto once per turn. When this card switched to rest mode by alliance, if you only have Son-Goku, Son Gohan Adolescent, Son Goten, and or Trunks Youth cards in play in your battle area, choose this card and up to one of your battle cards and switch it to active mode. So it's a pretty cool effect, being able to put it in alliance and then switch back to active mode if you only have these particular types of battle cards in play. So it's a pretty cool effect. Mach Speed Kaioken Son-Goku, so it's a 3-drop 1 red. Counterplay, play this card. Permanent, if a multicolored card is in your energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1, so it becomes a 2-drop. Whenever you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 10,000 power for the duration of the turn. Then, if it's your opponent's turn, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and get its minus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So again, this is the kind of effect we were talking about with the Broly. So you can play this on 2 on your opponent's turn and effectively give something minus 15k for the turn. Obviously it doesn't affect barrier, but then Broly can just pop it. So you can start killing 25ks with Broly's effect by playing these stuff on your opponent's turn. So pretty cool stuff there. Also, you can choose 2 different cards. You don't have to give one minus 15k, you can give one minus 10 and one minus 5, if that matters. Alright, and then we've got Dependable Brother Son Gohan, so it's a 4-drop, 2 red, 20k, EX Evolve for 1 red and 1 other over Son Gohan Adolescence with an energy cost of 3, so it is specific there. It has double strike, and then auto whenever a card evolves into this card, draw 2 cards, and if there are no other battle cards in play in your battle area, choose up the 1 green Son Goten card and 1 green Trunks Youth card with energy cost of 4 from your drop area and play them. So this is pretty cool. So for 2, effectively, you can get 3 cards into play, and you get to draw 2 cards. And these Goten and Trunks come from your drop area, which again is just really cool. Helping Hand Son Gohan, so it's a 3-drop, 1 red, counterattack, negate the attack, and play this card. Permanent during your opponent's turn. If Son Goten and Trunks Youth cards are in play in your battle area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So it's a negate that costs 1 if you've got a Goten and Trunks in play, which again is really cool. So obviously they're wanting you to play this in like the Gohan and Goten build, but some interesting things about this is because it's just a Son Goten and Trunks that don't have a specified energy cost or anything like that. The power booster World Martial Arts Tournament card that gets a Goten and Trunks and puts them into play would make this live, like make it a 1-cost negate for red. So it's pretty cool there. Alright, Wilderness Training Son Gohan. So it's a 1-drop on red. Auto whenever you play this card, draw a card. Red's never had this, just pay 1, draw 1 type of effect. They've had a pay 2, draw 1. So this is really cool to see that they've opened up this into the game for red. So really cool stuff there. And it's a Son Gohan youth, so this activates with the Piccolo and Goku that we saw revealed earlier with Alliance. Alright, now we've got Exalted Trio Son Goten, so it's a 2-drop 1 red. Permanent, only 1 Exalted Trio Son Goten can be played in your battle area, and if you have a Vidal card in play in your battle area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1, so you effectively cost 1 for a 10k, and then auto whenever this card attacks. If there's a Trunks Youth card in play in your battle area, this card gets plus 5,000 power and double strike for the duration of the turn. So really cool there. These Gotens and Trunks have always had these type of interchanging abilities where if the other one's in play, they get something. So yeah, he becomes a 15k double striker for 1 if a Trunks and a Vidal are in play. And then, let's see, Last Resort Vegeta, so it's a 3-drop 1 red. Deflect, it's a 10k auto when you play this card from your hand and your leader card is a Raddatz card. You may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. If you do, choose the 1 Powerball from your deck, activate it, and then shuffle your deck. So we'll get into the Powerball a little bit later because that's in green. Obviously, this is you're wanting this to splash in the green Raddatz leader that revealed earlier. So really good, it's a pretty good card, and we'll cover it more in a little while. Exalted Trio Trunks. So it's a 2-drop 1 red. Permanent, only 1 Trunks can be in play in your battle area, and if you have a Vidal card in play in your battle area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1, so it's a 1-drop 10k, and then when this card attacks, if some Goten cards in play in your battle area, it gets plus 5,000 power and critical for the duration of the turn. So again, this is just the partner to the Goten that we just saw. Alright, Father Figure Piccolo, so 1-drop 1 red. Auto, whenever you play this card, look at the 7 cards from the top of your deck, choose up the 1 Son Gohan Youth card with an energy cost of 2 or less among them, then add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So just a pretty basic tutor for the Son Gohan Youth. Krillin Unforeseen Savior, this is a 2-drop, it's a super combo. It's a 0-10k, which is really good, and then whenever you combo with this card, if your later card is red and your life is at 4 or less, draw 1 card. Pretty standard super combo. It is an Earthling, for if that's relevant, with like every Yamcha and things like that. Alright, Exalted Trio Vidal, so it's a 1-drop 1 red. She's a 4k auto. Whenever you play this card, look at the 3 cards from the top of your deck, choose up the 1 red or green Son Gohan Adolescent, Son Goten, or Trunks card among them, and then add it to your hand, then place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck. So this is a pretty deep tutor for what the deck's trying to do. It gives you 3 different options, and it's also red or green, so there's a lot of different options that you can search for. So if you're running this type of whole engine, you're going to hit off of this pretty much every time you play it. Alright, Coco Village Princess, she's a 1-drop 1 red 5k, which is kind of weird that the Vidal's a 4k and she's a 5k, but whatever. Activate main once per turn, choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area, draw 1 card. So this is just like the Fledgling Talent Pan, except this doesn't require her to tap down, which is really, really cool. So yeah, much better, because I think Fledgling Talent Pan had to tap, did it? No, it didn't. I'm thinking of the Vidals and the Bulma. Alright, Coco's Grandpa, Village Ulcer. Auto, whenever you play this card, choose the 1 Coco Village Princess from your deck, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So it's a 2-drop 5k that searches the princess. I don't think this is very good. The princess is really good, and the grandpa is just kind of whatever. This is probably more for sealed and draft. Now we get to one of my favorite cards in the set. Elder Village Guardian, so it's a 2-drop 1 red, it's 10k. It's a auto whenever you combo with this card and your leader card is red. You may choose 1 card from your hand and place it in your drop area. If you do, choose 1. Choose up to 3 battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or more and power of 35,000 or less in your drop, 35,000 or less in your drop area, and place them at the bottom of your deck in any order. Or choose one battle card in your opponent's battle area, or your opponent's drop area, and return it to your opponent's deck. Then your opponent shuffles their deck. So obviously these are like, I'm not going to say they're hard counters to Janemba, but they are effective counters to Janemba. There is one of these in green, so the assumption is being that they're going to put one of these in every color. These are probably not necessarily main deck cards, but these are probably like good sideboard cards if Janemba keeps being as dominant as it is. It is a 0-5k combo, which is really, really good. Obviously, it's a -2 for you, but you are able to like get that recursion. And then obviously restricting it to a power of 35 or less is really cool, because that means no Victory Strike getting that back. You can get majority of other battle cards back, but no Victory Strike, which I think is a really good compromise that they made. I'm really, really excited to see these cards. I think these are really great for the game. Alright, next up we've got Napa Village Monster. So this is a 20k red vanilla, so not too bad there. Shaman Ritual Master, so this is a 2-drop 1 red. He's a 5k auto. Whenever you play this card, draw 1 card. Auto, when a card in your opponent's life is placed in their drop area, you may place this card in its owner's drop area. If you do, choose up the 1 red Napa Village Monster with an energy cost of 2 from your deck and play it, then shuffle your deck. So it's a pretty cool effect. Whenever you deal life to your opponent, you can go search the vanilla dragon thing, or the dinosaur, and put it into play. That's pretty cool. So next up we got Broly Counter Reversal. So this is our super rare, one of the super rares for the set. It's a 4-drop 2 red, 20k. Permanent. During your turn, this card gets plus 5,000 power and can attack battle cards in active mode. So on your turn, it's a 25k that can attack active cards, which is really, really good. And then auto once per turn, choose when your opponent activates a counter skill, deal 1 damage to them. Now this is fantastic. This is like really, really good. So whenever they go to negate, or whenever they play like a counter play, like a Crusher Ball or a Mutaito or anything like that, Mutaito, excuse me, you can start just burning them, and this stacks. So if you have like multiple of these in play, like just really, really good, and like scary good. It costs 4, so it's not like super easy to get out, and it's a 20k, so you can't like cheat it in. But still, that's a very interesting effect. Very, very good card. Alright, now we get into our extra cards. So we got Familial Bond, so it's a 2-cost 1 red extra card. It is a desire card. It's activate main. If your leader card is red, choose up to 1 red sand card in your drop area with energy cost of 3 or less and 15,000 power or less and play it. If you played a card, choose up to 2 Dragon Ball cards from your deck and then add them to your hand and shuffle your deck. So obviously this is like a pretty much like a jam into the red wish leaders. We only have 1, the Pilaf, but I think this is a very, very good effect. You combo this with like the King Piccolo, you're able to awaken pretty quick. And also this puts a battle card into play, and these puts the Dragon Balls in your hand as opposed to the drop. So pretty good, pretty good. Move on to the next page. Alright, so Dormant Legend, this is the kind of card we've been waiting on because a lot of the Broly stuff is incumbent on this. So whenever you play the Broly leader, this automatically comes into play. So it's a 2-drop 1 red. It's a field permanent. You can't place cards under this card except with this card's skill. Auto, when a card in your life is added to your hand or placed in your drop area during your opponent's turn, place the top card of your deck underneath this card. So if they deal damage to you, or if you like use the Sparking Negate and take a life, and this is not a once per turn effect. So if they deal 3 damage to you on your opponent's turn, or 3 damage is dealt to you one way or the other on your opponent's turn, you put the 3 underneath it. And then activate main. If there are 3 more cards under this card, place this card in your drop area, choose up the 1 red Broly card with energy cost of 4 from your deck and play it, and then shuffle your deck. So obviously the first thing that we look back at too, we'll go ahead and scroll back down, is this Broly that we just talked about, which is just like really, really good. So with the Dormant Legend, you can just play this for free. Pretty easily with your opponent being aggressive or trying to deal damage to you, which is a really, really, really cool effect. This card's very good. This whole engine, this makes the whole engine very good, in my opinion. Alright, next up we've got Denial of Hope. So it's a 2-drop counterplay. If your leader card is red, if the battle card your opponent is playing has 20,000 power or less, it is placed in its owner's drop area instead of being played. So this is effectively a preemptive strike for red. It's just not restrictive on a 4-cost or less. Effectively it is, because most of the 20Ks have 4-cost. So preemptive would hit kind of majority of the same cards. But this is very good. I love seeing this card in another color. Interesting to see if we get this effect in other colors. We already have one in green, obviously. Blue and yellow. I wouldn't expect yellow to get it because they already have several counterplay. But if blue were to get this type of effect, I think that it's very cool. But it's a very good card. Obviously, preemptive strike is very good. And this just kind of goes with it as being another very good card. Alright, now we've got the Final Guardian, so it's a 1-drop, 1 red counterattack. If your leader card is red, negate the attack. Then choose with one of your battle cards, and it gets plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn, which is a really cool effect. And the permanent, if this card is in your drop area, you can activate it by paying its energy cost and removing it and 1 card in your hand from the game. So this is an effect we're going to see a couple times in these negates, which I think is a fantastic effect. Then auto, whenever you activate this card, you can't activate the Final Guardian for the duration of the turn. Obviously it's limited, so you just can't like spam these effectively for free on your opponent's turn, not dropping it out of your hand. These are negates that like just like sit there and they can wait. So they're similar to sparking negates in that way, except you don't have to take a life. All you do is pitch a card, pay the energy, and you play it. I think these are really, really cool effects and really nice to see in the game. Alright, so that's all the red. Now we're getting into the green. So here's our Raddatz. Obviously we saw the backside of this leader previously, but now we get the front. So auto, whenever this card attacks the leader card, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and sends it to the warp. Same thing effect that he has on the back. And then activate man once per turn. Look at the 5 cards from the top of your deck, then choose up the 1 red or green Raddatz, Vegeta, or Napa card among them and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck, and if you added a card to your hand, choose 1 card from your hand and place it in your drop area. So it's a search effect. Not super thrilled with it because you have to pitch a card in order to do it, but it's fine. And then awaken, when your life is at 4 or less, you may choose 1 of your energy, switch to active mode, and flip this card over. So Raddatz doesn't get actually any pure draw. And then we'll see on the backside, Raddatz Brotherly Hate. Whenever this card attacks the leader card, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and sends it to their warp. And then once per turn, choose up the 1 red or green sand card in your battle area, and it gets plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. I'm a fan of a lot what the Raddatz does, but I feel like he may end up falling in that same boat as Toa, where he doesn't draw, and that makes him restricted. So we'll kind of see how this ends up panning out. I like to send the cards the warp effect. There's more effects similar to this in the set, so we'll see. I like Raddatz in general, but not drawing is kind of awkward. Alright, next up we've got Son-Goku. Whenever this card attacks a leader card, draw a card. Whenever life is 4 or less, you may draw 1 card and then choose an energy and flip it over. So pretty vanilla on the front. And then permanent, he's got a lot of stuff going on back here. So Kaioken Son-Goku training complete. Permanent, you can't send cards from your drop area to your warp. So we've seen this type of effect before. With the Majin Buu card, the new leader card from the last set. This says from your drop area to your warp, so other cards that would send stuff from like your hand to the warp aren't affected, but it specifies drop area. So basically you can't run Overwhelm. Auto, whenever this card attacks, draw a card. And then auto burst 7. So you need to mill 7 cards. When your opponent attacks with a card, negate the attack, then negate the skill for the duration of the turn. Yeah, this is really... And this is like a... It's not like you may choose. No, I guess you can. You can choose to burst or not. It's really interesting. I don't know that it's good, but it's interesting. And then activate main. When your life is at 1, choose all of your opponent's battle cards with blocker and KO them. We don't see just like a whole ton of blockers. So it's a really interesting effect. I don't know. I don't like this leader right now. I'm willing to change my mind down the road, but just as of right now, I'm not a fan. Alright, Raddatz, Saiyan in Arms. This is another SR. So 1 drop. So 1 drop SRs typically are pretty good. Auto, whenever you play this card, draw a card. Activate main for 1 red, 1 green. Place this card in its owner's drop area. If your leader card is a green Saiyan card, choose the 1 Vegeta card and 1 Napa card with energy cost of 2 or less and 10,000 power from your deck. Send them to your warp and then shuffle your deck. At the start of your next main phase, play all of the cards sent to your warp by this skill to your battle area. It's a really, really cool effect. This is similar to like a Dende, where you're paying 2 to send 2 cards from the deck to the warp, and then they come back in play. Obviously, it says from the deck, so this does get up around the leader effect from the Son-Goku, where you can't overwhelm cards. So yeah, I think this is pretty cool. Obviously, as good as the Napas and Vegetas are, it really depends on how good or not this card is, but it has the base level of playability by pay 1, draw 1. So it's, like I said, base level of play. Alright, Raddatz, Saiyan Assailant. So it's a 4-drop 2 green. It's 20k auto. Whenever you play this card, choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less, KO them, then your opponent chooses cards from their hand equal to the number of cards you KO'd with the skill, and send them to their warp. So this is more hand removal that goes straight to the warp, so this gets around Tau. It's pretty specific because it's cost 3 or less, and it's a 4-drop, so it's kind of a weird number. But I think it's a pretty cool card. Alright, Unlikely Duo Son-Goku, so it's a 3-drop 2 green. Auto, whenever you play this card, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Earthling or Namekian card among them, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this is an interesting card. It's very expensive for a tutor, especially because it only gets 1 card. I mean, obviously it's pretty open-ended, Earthling or Namekian, you probably have several targets for it, but it's a 3-drop 20k, so I don't know. I don't know that this will ever actually be played. To be entirely honest with you, I think it's probably too expensive. So Son Gohan, Hope of the People, so it's a 3-drop 1 green. It's 15k, permanent, only 1 Son Gohan, Hope of the People can be played in your battle area, and if there's at least 1 Son Goten, Trunks Youth, and Vidal card in your drop area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So obviously, what this is an easy way to get out the Gohan that we saw previously. I don't think that specified a red Gohan Adolescence with energy cost of 3. I think it was just Gohan energy cost of 3. So this lets you, pay this for 1, evolve for 2. So for 3, you get the 20k out that brings out the Trunks and the Gohan or the Goten. So it's pretty cool. If you're running this engine, you're probably running some of this type of stuff. Son Gohan, Momentary Awakening, so it's a 1-drop 5k. Auto, whenever you play this card, look at the top 7 cards from your deck, choose up to 1 green Son Goku card among them, and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this is just a 1-drop tutor. It's just a green Son Goku, it's not restrictive any other way, so there's a lot of options for this actually. You could even find a Victory Strike off of this. Alright, Son Goten Out Adventuring, so it's a 4-drop 2 green, AX Evolve on a red Son Goten with an energy cost of 2 for free. And then auto, whenever a card evolves on this card, your leader card is a Son Gohan Adolescence card, draw 1 card, switch this card to active mode, then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less and KO it. So this is really cool effect. Obviously this is comboing with like this Gohan that evolves, and then you go into the 4-drop. You bring out the Goten and the Trunks. You can swing with the Goten and the Trunks. Then you evolve off of the Goten for free. He untaps. Then he gets a KO effect and draws a card. So he replaces himself, which is really, really cool. Alright, Great Ape Vegeta Energy Manipulation. Whole lot of text on this guy. So he's a 6-drop, 2 green, 30k. Activate main. If there's a Power Ball in your battle area and Great Ape Vegeta Energy Manipulation is not in play in your battle area, play this card from your hand on top of a Vegeta card in your battle area with an energy cost of 3. So you're looking at the red Vegeta that we looked at earlier. Auto, whenever you play this card, activate this skill. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, this card can't be KO'd by skills or battles or be removed from the battle area by skills. So once you play him, he just sits and chills. He can't be bounced, he can't be killed, KO'd, anything like that. He just kind of hangs out, which is pretty cool. And he evolves for free, effective evolves for free, which is cool. And then auto, whenever this card is placed in a drop area from a battle area by a skill, you may choose one red card and 1 green card in your energy, switch them to rest mode. If you do, choose up the 1 Vegeta card that is both red and green in your drop area with an energy cost of 6 or less and play it. So you have to find a way to KO it, but if you can do that, then you get out a 6-drop red or green Vegeta, which we'll get into a little bit later, which is actually pretty strong. But just in general, to be able to go into a 30k on turn 3 for free is really, really nice. Alright, Vegeta the Cruel, so it's a 3-drop 1 green. Counterplay, play this card. Permanent, if a multicolored card is in your energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. So if you have a multicolored card in energy, it costs 2 for counterplay. Auto, whenever you play this card during your opponent's turn, choose the 1 of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less, KO it, and then your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and sends it to their warp. So this is really cool, just a counterplay that kills something and makes them discard, or not really discard, but warp a card. So more hand removal. This is a 3-drop Vegeta that satisfies this Grade 8 Vegeta, so some cool stuff there. Alright, Trunks Out Adventuring, so he's a 4-drop 2 green, 10k, this is the partner to that other Trunks that we saw. So he's blocker, EX Evolve off of Red Trunks Juice with an energy cost of 2. Revenge, which we've not seen Revenge in a really long time. So it's a blocker with Revenge, which is really cool. And then auto, whenever a card evolves into this card and your leader card is a Son Gohan Adolescence card, draw 1 card, then switch this card to active mode. So similar to what we talked about earlier, you want to get out like the green Gohan that comes out for 1, you evolve for 2 into the red one goes and gets the Trunks and a Goten out from the drop, puts them in play. And then they, you can swing with them or do whatever you want with them, and then you EX Evolve off of them for free, and then you get to draw a card and they untap and they have an effect. This one has Blocker Revenge, which is really cool. So a lot of cool effects there. Alright, Piccolo Special Beam Cannon Unleashed. So this is another SR. So it's a 4-drop, 2 green, 20k. Permanent if you have a green Son-Goku card with 20,000 power in play in your battle area, and Piccolo Special Beam Cannon Unleashed isn't in play in your battle area, you can play this card from your hand without paying its energy cost. So you get a 4-drop, 20k for free, which is cool. It's got to be a green Son-Goku with 20,000 power in your battle area. So you're looking at like the Searcher Goku that we just saw, or even the Hyper Speed that we already have that helps you self-waken because that gets plus 15k for the turn. So you can get this out on turn 3. Choose up to 1 Son-Goku card with 20,000 power or more in your battle area. Place it in its owner's drop area, choose one. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or less, ignoring barrier, and KO it. If you KO'd a card, your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and place it in the drop area, so more hand removal, which is really good. And then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So I like these interesting effects that have dual effects. You can do one or the other. Obviously, if you can KO a battle card with 2 or less, that's really cool. Obviously, you're instantly thinking about this KO's a Tao. And then they have to discard cards, since Tao has barrier, so that's kind of cool. Like I said, you can play this off the Hyperspeed Goku, so you can play him on 3, take 2 life, maybe awaken, untap, swing, 30k crit, whatever happens with that, then play him, play the Piccolo, sack the Goku, get one of these effects. That's really, really cool. A lot of synergy there. Krillin, he's a 1 cost, 10k, just vanilla. Kamehameha Blast Yamcha, so it's a 2-drop 1 green. This is a super combo, 0 10k for a green leader energy with a life at 4 or less. Alright, Sorrowful Strike Tien Shenhan. So this is the equivalent of the card that we saw earlier, except this is for green. Whenever you combo with this card, if the leader card is green, you can choose 1 card in your hand, place it in your drop area. If you do, choose 1, shuffle 3 cards from your drop area into your deck, battle cards from your drop area of your deck, or then choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards and return it to its own opponent's deck. So yeah, like I said, I think these are really great mechanics for the game. I'm really glad to see these kind of effects into the game, especially in multiple colors. Alright, now we've got Chiaotzu, Desperate Measure, so it's a 1-drop 1k. Activate main, place this card in its owner's drop area, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or less, and KO it. That's a decently cool effect. It's removal, so it's always good. For 1, it just kind of sits and chills, so that's not too bad. Alright, Yajirobe, Lying in Wait. Whenever you play this card, choose the 1 Vegeta card with an energy cost of 6 or less in a battle area and place it in its owner's drop area. So, 2 really cool things about this. Obviously, this is the way that you sack your green big Vegeta ape in order to get the red and green Vegeta out. But the other thing is, it doesn't say your battle area, it's just a battle area. So if your opponent has a green Vegeta that's causing you problems, actually just 1 Vegeta card with energy cost of 6 or less, and you just kill it for 2, which is a really cool effect, that you can just pay 2 and kill a big threat on your opponent's side that is 6 or less. That's Vegeta. Really, really cool. Or this lets you go up the Vegeta ape chain. Alright, Urgent Aid Kami. So this is just another Borgos Whis type effect. Now green actually has one. Green hasn't had access to this, which now it does, so it's really, really good to see. Almost done. Alright, Napa the Cultivator. So this is a 2-drop 10k Napa that the Raddatz that we saw earlier goes and searches. Activate main, choose 1 card in your hand, place it in your drop area, choose the 1 Cyberman card from your deck, play it, and shuffle your deck. It's pretty good, pretty cool. This is an activate main, so you can always do this. You can do this as many times as you want, because it's not a once per turn. You just have to pitch a card and you'll get a Cyberman, so it's pretty cool. And then we got our Cyberman card, Endless Explosions, so it's a 1-drop 4k blocker. Permanent, you include as many copies of this card in your deck as you like, so this is similar to the Meta Cooler. And then auto, whenever this card is KO, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 1 or less and KO it. So these are pretty cool effects. Obviously having like almost an unlimited supply of blockers is kind of nifty, especially blockers that have an effect that can just KO. I mean, obviously they're just KOing like a 1 or less, but that's a pretty cool effect. This is probably about as good as they could have done with the Cybermen as opposed to like making tokens. So I'm pretty cool. I'm just glad to see this stuff in the game in general. It's pretty cool. Alright, Super Saiyan Broly Legends Unleashed. So it's a 3-drop, 1 green, 19k. Activate main. If your opponent has 3 more energy, choose 1 Dormant Legend in your battle area, place it in its owner's drop area, then play this card from your hand. So you can play this for free, is what it looks like. And then auto, whenever you play this card for the duration of the turn, if your leader card is a red Broly card, you can activate its Awaken skill even if you have 5 or more life. So we've seen this type of effect before, most recently in the anniversary box. It's a pretty cool effect, especially if you can play this for free. Your opponent has to have 3 more energy, so typically by that time you're probably already awakened anyway, so it is a little restrictive there, but pretty cool nonetheless. Alright, Double Sunday, so it's a 1-cost green extra card. Activate battle. If your leader card is Raddatz card, gets plus 15,000 for the duration of the battle, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 2 or less and KO it. So just more removal, and it's just the extra card that's leader specific. Powerball, so this is one we talked about earlier, a couple cards that interact with this. So it's a field card for 3, which is a little pricey for a field. Auto, whenever this card is placed in a battle area, choose the 1 green Great Ape card from your deck, and then add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Activate main, switch this card to rest mode, choose up the 1 red or green sand card in your battle area, and it gets plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So pretty cool. We have some effects, like I said, that interact with this. Your Raddatz leader already gives a red or green sand plus 5k for the duration of the turn, so you're able to like just start pumping stuff up. Another card that this instantly interacts with is the red 2-drop Trunks GT that was in the anniversary box. You have a plus 5k draw card, so pretty cool. Alright, Hidden Power of the Saiyan, so it's a 2-drop, 2 green. Counterplay, if your leader card is green, your opponent may place the battle card they're playing in its owner's drop area instead of playing it. If they didn't, your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and places them in the drop area. So this is another similar effect to the Preemptive Strike. This doesn't have an energy cost restriction though. Preemptive Strike was 4 or less, and then the Broly card that we saw was 20k or less. This is any battle card. But they can choose to still play it by discarding 2 cards. So I think this is really, really cool effect. I would actually think this almost instantly goes into like a Super 13 effect, because this would trigger his effect if they decide not to KO the battle card and discard 2 cards. So regardless, whenever you play this, they're at least discarding a card off the Super 7 or off the Super 13. So it's a really, really cool interaction. I really like this card. I don't know if it's better than Preemptive. But it may find its way in some decks anyway. For the Greater Good, that's a 1-drop, 1 green. Counterattack, if your leader card is green, and get the attack. This is the same type of effect we talked about earlier. You can play it from the drop area, which, like I said, I think these are really cool mechanics to have in the game. Alright, now we're getting into some multicolored cards, and this one is a doozy. Kaioken Son-Goku, Defender of Earth. So he is a 7-drop, 2 red, 3 green. He is a 25k Son-Goku. Deflect, energy exhaust, permanent. If there are 20 more red or green cards in your drop area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So it costs 5, 2 red, 3 green. Auto, whenever your life reaches 1 for the duration of the turn, this card gains triple strike and dual attack, and this can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills. Then activate main, choose 1 card in your life, add it to your hand, your opponent reveals their hand and chooses up to 1 card from it, and you choose 1 card from it and place it in the drop area, and then he gets plus 25,000 power for the duration of the turn. So, first of all, this activate main is not a once per turn. So, if you're at 8 life, you can cut all the way down to 7, and you get 25,000 plus times 7, and you choose 7 cards from your opponent's hand and place them in the drop area. Obviously, that's never going to happen, but just the thinking process of that. Triple strike, dual attack. So, whenever you do this just once, if you go down to 1 life, he becomes a 50k triple strike dual attack with deflect that can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills for the duration of the turn. This card's bonkers. Absolute bonkers. It's probably a little restrictive because it costs 5, but this card kind of like just closes out games by itself. This card is insane. Absolutely insane. Son-Goku and Piccolo, budding friendship. So this is, we saw this earlier, but this is a 2-drop, 1 red, 1 green. Energy exhaust, alliance red and green. So you can, when this card gains power equal to total power, the card switches to rest mode. And if you switch a Son Gohan Youth card to rest mode using the skill, draw 2 cards, and this card gains critical for the duration of the turn. So we already saw the one Gohan that whenever you play it, draw a card. So you play this on turn 2, you swing, you alliance that, and then he gains critical, plus 5k, and you draw 2 cards. Really, really cool, strong effects there already. Alright, Son Gohan and Son Goten familial bonds. So it's a 4-drop, 1 red, 1 green, it's 20k. Energy exhaust, alliance red, green. Whenever it gains triple strike, and then the additional power. And then auto, whenever you play this card, activate a skill for the duration of the turn. When your opponent uses a skill to play a battle card, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their life and places them in the drop area. So with this, you're thinking of like Sugesh type effects. So they can't do that, which is pretty cool. And then there's a lot of different effects, like we saw the new hit card. Whenever your opponent's leader slipped over, he gets to put a card into play. This would trigger that. This also, whenever you play this, you get to put that Goku into play that we saw earlier, the 3-drop. This is a pretty good card in and of itself. I think it might be a little bit pricey at 4, but not too bad. Alright, Vegeta Saiyan Elite. So this is the bomb card off the Ape Vegeta that we saw earlier. So he's a 6 cost, 1 red, 2 green. Double strike, energy exhaust, auto once per turn. When this card attacks, your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and sends them to the warp. Pretty good effect there. And then activate main once per turn for a red and a green. If your leader card is a green Saiyan, so we're talking about like Raddatz, if a green Saiyan card, deal 1 damage to your opponent. So it's got burn, it's got double strike, and it sends cards to the warp. Very, very good card. Obviously, in hindsight, it's not nearly as good as this absolutely bonkers Kaioken Goku, but still a pretty good card in its own right. Especially because you can get this out on like turn 3, turn 4. Alright, Broly Tragedy Foretold. So it's a 6-drop, 2 red, 1 green. Arrival for a red and green, and a red and green energy. So it costs 2 to arrival, which a little bit more expensive than what we typically see. Permanent, only 1 Broly Tragedy Foretold can be played in your battle area, and you can't play this card from any area unless Dormant Legend is in your drop area. An auto, whenever you play this card, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and they get minus 15,000 power until the end of your opponent's turn. So this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, these effects on these Brolys that give your opponent's battle cards minus effects for effectively 2 turns, and that makes it where the Broly leader can just start like popping things. So it makes it a little bit more reasonable than when we just saw like the generic Broly leader. And then auto, whenever your opponent combos, you may choose 1 card in your opponent's combo area and place it in its owner's drop area. If you do, negate the skill for the duration of the turn. We already saw this effect on the other Broly that was revealed like 2 weeks ago. So again, it's just a very strong effect. You do have to... actually, you don't have an effect. You don't have you can just auto this. So it's pretty cool. Alright, and then Burly Rapid Barrage. This is the one that we saw already. Arrival for red green, so 4k, 20k, 4 cost 20k, 1 red, 1 green. Permanent, only 1 Broly Rapid Barrage can be played in your battle area, and you can't play this card in any area unless Dormant Legend is in play in your drop area. Dormant Legend goes to the drop, then you can play these with the Dormant Legend effect. Auto, whenever you play this card, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 10,000 power until the end of your opponent's turn. And then auto, whenever your opponent combos, you may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. If you do, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards, or 1 of your opponent's combo area, and place it in its owner's drop area, then negate the skill for the duration of the turn. So this is like the mini of the other one, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool there. Alright, Broly Demonic Origins. So it's a 2-drop, 1 red, 1 green. Energy exhaust, and then permanent. If there's a card that is both red and green in your energy area other than this card, negate this card's energy exhaust. So this is a really cool effect. I'm kind of happy to see this, that you can get around the energy exhaust. Obviously it has a restriction. And then whenever you play this card, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and place it in drop area. If, like at best, this is just a discard. If not, it's just a red-green energy that doesn't tap. Alright, and that is it. Like I said, a lot of cards going over. We're at like 50 minutes already, but a lot of really cool stuff. I'm more and more excited with all the Set 7 stuff, the more and more that they've revealed. Obviously excited to see the blue-yellow. See all that kind of stuff with the Zamasu and then the hit and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, guys, that is it. Let me know what you think down below, and we will see y'all next time.